This week on the Powell Not Found podcast, the Yankees are blowing it in Chavez Ravine as they've dropped 2 games to the Los Angeles Dodgers of Los Angeles. And we talk about the intentional eating Masterclass narrated and written by Michael Pollan. And we talk a little bit about the weight challenge that we're going to undergo after watching that Masterclass on the show. Here we go. Let's go now.
I'm going to tell you a story about a girl who loves gin. A national pandemic seized her birthday celebration. Although she knew it was coming, we tried not to tell her. She brewed some Irish breakfast tea. She knew her birthday was getting corona.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Powell Not Found podcast. I am your host, Mark Powell, here for the week of Sunday, June 1st, 2025. And unfortunately, man, what a week of emotional roller coaster it was to be a Yankee fan this week going into the West Coast. First, they play the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and they sweep them 3 games, pretty easy set. They looked pretty expected to sweep the Angels. That wasn't really much of a concern, and they stay out in the West to face the Dodgers next. And these games, as a fan, are tough to watch because they're middle of the week, 10:10, 9:30 starts for the West Coast. This stuff happens as it tends to happen every single year, but it's always just kind of tough to kind of follow the team, keep up with the team. There are very tired next days at work because you're either listening to the game into the night on the East Coast or what have you. Hard to follow the team, but teams got to play at 7 o'clock for their own fan bases. We understand that. But the anticipation really for the Los Angeles trip was obviously this is the first time the Yankees are seeing the Dodgers since they dropped the World Series to them in 5 games. And some might say an embarrassing fashion to do so. The 5th inning blow up, the drop ball, the Nestor grand slam in game 1 in extra innings to Freddie Freeman. These mistakes that the Yankees made over and over and over again in the World Series were kind of tough to swallow if you're a fan. You hadn't seen a Yankee team in the World Series since 2009. It had been 16 long years, 15 long years, I guess, since they had been in the Fall Classic. That was insult to injury enough, but to drop it in 5 games, especially with Juan Soto, knowing he's going to leave, everything was on the line that year. That was the whole narrative. It was a tough pill to swallow. So after getting over that, the Dodgers had been talking in the media, as you do with the championship team, saying that the game plan against the Yankees was pretty easy. Just put the ball in play and the defense would take care of itself, and it certainly showed in that World Series with the amount of misplays and miscommunication that happened, and Anthony Rizzo and Garrett Cole not getting to the bag. Like these moments that were maybe less intensified during the season ended up showing themselves when it counted, and the Yankees lost that World Series. So this series going in was a big one, right? It was a way to make a mark on a Dodgers team and show them that they're not the same Yankee team that they once were. It's not just Aaron Judge. It's not just Juan Soto. This is a differently built team than last year. And throughout the first 2 months of the season, the Yankees are 35-23, right? You can't really sneeze at that record. But the record only matters if you're playing if you're winning against teams that are tough and winning against teams that are likely going to be your opponent in the World Series. One could argue that the Dodgers are going to be in the World Series for the next 5 years, the way that they're built, the way that they're financially built. It seems like this is a Dodgers league to lose, judging by the way that they're built and judging by their lineup and their depth that they have over the next 5 years or so. So you want to play good against these teams. Sweeping the Angels is great. Losing a game to the Rockies, concerning. Winning against the Dodgers, important. important not only for your confidence as a team going forward, but you know that you can compete against the best in the league. The Yankees did not show up in these first two games. It actually doesn't even matter what happens in this last game. We're recording on Sunday in the afternoon here in anticipation of watching the Yankees maybe scrap one out against the Dodgers, but they're facing Yamamoto at the end, and so it doesn't seem very, very likely that they're going to hit if Yamamoto is on his game. So we're going to act as if they've already lost the series because they're not playing on Monday, I don't believe. I want to just double check that. Yankees schedule. Yeah, I believe they play the Guardians on Tuesday. So Tuesday, June 3rd, they're playing the Guardians. So this is a 3-game set. They've already lost the series. So why not? Let's talk about what happened here. The first game, the Yankees ended up losing this game 8-5, not without an offensive showing in the very, very beginning. I mean, you have home runs from Aaron Judge, Austin Wells, Grisham continues his hot streak, 2-run home run for Grisham, and Goldschmidt. Sooner rather than later, you see the Yankees by the third inning are up 5-2. This is the game that also included Aaron Judge homering in the first inning, and Shohei Ohtani homering in the first inning. I guess that's the first time the reigning MVPs have ever homered in the first inning back-to-back, or that's ever happened. I'm not sure how significant that stat is. I'm sure there's going to be there's been first moments in baseball for as long as I can remember. So maybe this is not really that important of a stat, but hey, it's the first time that reigning MVPs have homered in the first inning against each other. That's kind of cool. But they go tit for tat, right? Judge and Ohtani clearly are the MVPs this year. They were the MVPs last year, and they're certainly showing it. The only difference is that Ohtani seems to have a team that can scrap back. Max Fried, 5 innings of pretty typical Max Fried-like start. I mean, Max Fried has been the core of the Yankees. I don't want to necessarily bag on him too much, because without Max Fried, there wouldn't be a contending Yankees team right now. So whether he struggled against the Dodgers or whether it was just bound to happen in the middle of the season where he was going to hit some sort of struggling start, hey, that stuff happens. It really isn't until the 6th inning that Max Fried starts to fall apart with his second home run to Ohtani. I believe that's his 22nd for the year. It was his 21st. Let me see here. It was his 22nd of the year. That he tees them off in leading off the 6th inning and giving them a 5-3 lead, and then everything falls apart. The Dodgers have a 4-run inning. They are, tagging Max Fried. It looks like they were sitting curveball a lot of the times, or sitting off-speed pitch, and they kind of had a game plan going into that third time around the order. I think with, Max Fried up until that point had a pretty good game. And I think with a lineup as strong as the Dodgers, I think you got to make a move a little bit earlier, right? The minute he gives up that home run to Shohei Ohtani, maybe there's something to the third time around. I mean, Max Fried has been the horse the entire time, but you're not talking about an Angels lineup. You're not talking about the Rockies lineup where you can maybe risk it with your ace, with your de facto ace, now that Cole is out, but you probably had to pull him a little bit earlier. They decide to wait. There's more hits against Max Fried. He ends up going 5 innings pitched, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 Ks, 2 home runs. A start that would have been, had he got out of the 6th inning, would have been a quality start, just completely explodes in the 6th inning. And the Dodgers they tie the game. And then Tim Hill Loaiza comes in relief, goes 0.1 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk. And Tim Hill ends up walking in the go-ahead run to give the Dodgers a 6-5 lead, and really from there they did not give it back. It was 8-5 final. Shohei ends up with 2 home runs on the day, and the Yankees end up spoiling a 4 home run game Judge is 19th, Wells is 9th, Grisham's 13th, and Goldschmidt's 6th. Home runs. They end up wasting 4 home runs, 5 runs, and they don't scrap anything from that third inning. The Yankees bats go quiet, which seems to be a trend a little bit. Over the last couple years, the Yankees bats in the summers, they seem to kind of either fatigue hits them or what have you. They just don't show up anymore. And it didn't seem to be the case early in this game, but then they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive innings without scoring, getting a run across, and they hit into bad luck. And the Yankees kind of do a patchwork bullpen to finish the game behind Frieden, Loaizaga, Hill, De Los Santos, and Hedrick. And the Dodgers ended up winning that game. Not great. You know, when you hit 4 home runs and you're tagging Gonsolin, even the fact that Gonsolin goes 6 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, means that the Yankees did not push across runners in scoring position. They went 0 for 6. They left 8 on base. You can't do that against the Dodgers. The Dodgers lineup, we know from last year, is too strong to give them any opportunity to get back into a game. You got to bury them. You have to bury them when the opportunity rises. You can't let some of these hits go by. Like, the infield was in and 2 more runs score because it gets past Volpe. You got to block that ball. You got to keep it in the infield. Certain plays in this game, it seemed like they were kind of played with lack of hustle. There was a sacrifice fly that Bellinger kind of caught and started running back towards the wall and then casually threw it in, let the runner advance to third. You got to be more on your game against the Dodgers. This is the team that is going to be in contention. This is the team that knocked you out last year. It would have been nice to see the Yankees play with a little bit more fire than they seem to have. Now, granted, this is the Dodgers, right? This is the reigning world champions. What can you say, right? This is not losing against the Rockies. This is losing against the world champs. So it's different. But the Yankees lineup, they showed up and then they went away. They went away so quickly, and it didn't leave a very good taste in your mouth when the Dodgers win the first game. You really wanted to, if you were a Yankees fan, you really wanted to see the Yankees, a newly structured, newly built Yankees, take it to the Dodgers and prove to themselves and the league that they can hold up against this team. But in the last, including the World Series, in the last 6 games against the Dodgers, the Yankees are 1-5. That doesn't exactly bode well for you in the postseason. That doesn't build confidence as a group if you're losing these games and not driving runners across and not, in my opinion, not taking out pitchers early enough. This is a Boone and Matt Blake strategy, right? You don't want to necessarily expose your pitchers. I know it's your ace, but this is the Dodgers. Take them out. As soon as Shohei Ohtani hits that home run, as soon as the Dodgers lineup turns around the third time, they should have had somebody warming in the bullpen. A winning formula in Loaizaga. Shouldn't have been waiting that long for him to get back into more trouble so the game could be tied. That's just not what you're going to do. So Max Fried doesn't get the loss in this case, which is kind of miraculous. He does get the loss. He's 7-1, so he finally records his first loss of the season. Wearing pinstripes, which again, you don't want to blame this on Fried. I feel like this is just management of realizing who you're playing and trying to outplay the chess master here. So you really, really gotta do more. The Yankees go 5-9-1 with their run hits and errors, and the Dodgers go 8-12-0. Gonsolin gets the win, even though his outing was not necessarily that great at 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs. And they go Gonsolin, Dreyer, Kasparius, Scott, and Vesia to finish out the game. The Dodgers win the first game, and then the second game comes. And the first game, just to finish up here on the first game had, they even said it on the broadcast. The Apple TV broadcast was, at this point, becoming its own stylistic way of broadcasting. It's a very kind of Stuart Scott-like in the way that they call the game, in his kind of fanciful delivery. If you've ever watched old SportsCenter clips, Stuart Scott would kind of make it entertaining, but it's less like a traditional baseball broadcast at this point, and it's becoming really their own. But the Apple TV broadcast was mentioning that the Game 1 really did feel like it was a repeat of Game 5 in the World Series. Game 5 in the World Series came with an explosive fifth inning, and the Dodgers couldn't be contained, and they took the lead, and they took the series from the Yankees. They took any hope from this Yankee team of getting back into it and sending it back to New York. Sending it back to L.A. In this one, it's an explosive sixth, a 2-run seventh. They can't contain the Dodgers' offense. I mean, this offense is deep. Ohtani, Teoscar, Smith, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, Conforto, right? People talk about the Yankees lineup being deep. The Dodgers lineup is really deep. The Dodgers lineup is amazing. And so this one really stung because of the collapse that happened with the Yankees. The next game is like pouring salt into an open wound at this point. The next game, Game 2, your opportunity at redemption. Will Warren on the bump, who's been showing a lot of promise. Landon Knack, who was 2-2 on the season at this point, on the bump for the Dodgers. And the Dodgers just, I mean, going through this game, there's only a few notes that I need for Game 2 of the Yankees-Dodgers. It's that the Dodgers, in every way, were better than the Yankees about getting runners aboard, creating opportunities, delivering with runners in scoring position, swinging the bat, getting the bat off their shoulder. Stop, not waiting for the opportunity to come to them. Just swinging, right? You got to swing the bat to create action and opportunity. And the Dodgers did so. 4 in the first, 6 in the second. My man Will Warren, he ends up going 1.1, doesn't even get out of the second inning, gets chased with 6 hits, 7 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 Ks. The Dodgers took 4 outs to destroy the confidence that we had in young Will Warren being the next heel, being the next Schmidt, being the next stopgap until some of the rotation can get a little bit more healthy. Just gone. 10 runs by the bottom of the second. By the top of the third, if you're a fan and you're still actively watching this game, then I have to tell you as a fan, you need to find something else to do. Because a 10-0 ball game by the top of the third, I mean, you better have pizza, you better have Italian ice, you better have things to do, because all interest in this game has gone out the window. And if I feel that as a fan, about 50% of the players in the dugout have completely conceded this game. And by the 8th inning, the Yankees had completely conceded this game. 4 innings in the 5th for the Dodgers, making it 14-1 because Aaron Judge hits his 20th home run of the season. And by the 8th inning, going in 15-1, Aaron Judge hits his 21st dinger of the season, a 2-home-run game for Judge. And then 18-2 is your final of the game, of Game 2. 18-2, 18 Dodgers, Yankees 2. Even the broadcast was mentioning it's really Dodgers versus Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge was the only one who was hitting, going 3 for 4, inching that average back up to 398. But the rest of the lineup, if you take out Judge, 4 for 27. 4 for 27. You can't do that. Something's got to change. At this point, you're heading into June. You're in first place. You know where the weaknesses are? The rotation, obviously, is a patchwork Swiss cheese because of injury, because of things that we were putting off, like Garrett Cole, but the bats. I mean, Volpe's hitting 239. Wells is hitting 210. Wells is the catcher, so you give him a little bit of a break, but even that offense, the offense that was so quoted to be the thing that was about Austin Wells was his power is great, but his defense is not. Now it's completely switched. It's like his offense is completely gone. LeMahieu, coming back from injury, 171. He has a 505 OPS, which kind of makes up for it a little bit. But Vivas hitting 156. Dominguez hitting 244. Goldschmidt is doing pretty well, 338. Bellinger 253. Grisham 255. I mean, these guys at the bottom of the lineup, it's the same thing as last year. It cannot be bevied by one person. And when your pitching staff puts you this far out in a game like this, then you completely check out and concede. The Yankees go Warren to Hedrick, Ian Hamilton, Mark Leiter Jr., who goes 2/3 of an inning, giving up 4 hits, 4 earned runs. So that honeymoon period is over. De Los Santos goes 2/3 of an inning. Devin Williams goes 2/3 of an inning. I don't know why you burn your bullpen like this at some point, like unless you really just can't put it together. You got to just burn one guy. I don't see how the bullpen management makes sense here. Why do you bring in Devin Williams and Weaver in a losing ball game just to get work? The whole point is about rest, isn't it? I don't quite get these decisions. It's like when they're playing contending teams, the winning formula that they used in every other team doesn't apply anymore. It's like, hey, let's try going off the reservation and trying something else. Hitting and scoring runs are okay, but let's just try to go quiet when we're playing contending teams. This is the anger of a fan watching his team get pulverized, 18-2. And then Pablo Reyes, the bench utility player, comes out for 1 inning, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. It's a bad day in baseball when Pablo Reyes, your third baseman, has a better stat line than Mark Leiter Jr. does. And let me also talk about this trend of position players pitching. When I was a kid, this would happen so rarely. So rarely to save bullpen, right? On long games, 16, 17 inning games, when clearly people were like, we're not going to make the flights home, right? You would see this, and it was fun. We have reached a point of saturation when it comes to position players pitching on the mound. If you are throwing out your third baseman, especially when you've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people in an 18-1 game, like, what has the long man completely gone out of the window here? And you have Pablo Reyes coming in for an inning of work in the bottom of the 8th. The game should stop. The game should stop. The game should not keep going if you're willing to throw out a position player, even if it's within the rules of baseball. These stats, these padding of stats, are not real. A kid on the Dodgers, I can't remember his name. Was it Rushing? Who got the home run off of Reyes? Yeah, Rushing. Hit his first career home run off a position player. That stinks. That's terrible. Stop the game. Let the game be conceded if they're really going to stop. Or they shouldn't be allowed at all to do that unless they're a two-way player. They recently did switch the rule from 2022, because in 2022 there was a record amount of position players pitching in the season, and they had to kind of control it. I think it was 132 different pitching appearances. That's by Paul Casella in 2023. 2022 season, and so in 2023 they did change the rules, saying that starting in 2023, position players can enter the game as a pitcher only if at least one of the following criteria is met. Only if one of the following criteria is met. Game is in extra innings, so go hog wild. Team trailing by at least 8 runs at any point. Okay. Team winning by at least 10 runs in the 9th inning. And And you'd think, I mean, the amount of times that this is going to happen is probably not going to happen too often, right? You don't have blowouts like this very often. We had a 20-run game with the Padres in Colorado just the other day. This is another embarrassing loss. But when you have a position player pitching on the mound, I mean, you've given up all sense of the game. Pablo Reyes throwing an eephus that was like about 46 miles an hour, along with a 76-mile-an-hour fastball. You're throwing batting practice at that point. Get him off the mound. Stop protecting these teams that give up insane amount of runs in these games and start making them have to use their bullpen. I mean, if you give up 18 runs, then you should have to burn your bullpen. You shouldn't get a get-out-of-jail-free card because it creates an unentertaining game and it creates painful baseball. And I say that as a person who loves watching baseball. It's painful watching people go deep against a team that just doesn't care anymore. That they're more concerned about, hey, this will find its way into a glove eventually, but we might give up 5 runs in the process. I mean, it was very close to being 20-2. And frankly, when you have a game like this, as a Yankee fan, you dream of the ghost of George Steinbrenner coming down and yelling at everyone to get on their act. So you hope that a game like this will act as a wake-up call to the New York Yankees. Dodgers go 18 runs, 21 hits, 0 errors. Excuse me. And Yankees 2 Judge home runs, make it 2, 7, and 0 on May 31st, closing out a pretty good month for the Yankees, but also an embarrassing stint against the Dodgers that honestly could erase all the good things that happened in the month. I mean, the Yankees are 35-22 as we speak here after this game. The Yankees have, let's see here. Yamamoto is on the bump for the Dodgers, which does not bode well here for the Yankees getting out from underneath the sweep. I mean, the sweep seems inevitable. You don't often say that about the Yankees going into a series, but they've looked overplayed and they've looked overmatched. Yarborough, who has been a sensation, who seems to be the exact opposite of Yamamoto, is on the bump for the Yankees, and that will take place at 7 o'clock tonight on June 1st. So hopefully, let's get at it. I mean, it would be great if they could scrape out a win against the Dodgers. Then maybe all is forgiven, but it's not going to unerase some of these games that we saw in the beginning. Now, the good thing about this, the positives that you can take away from this, is that you want these games to happen now. You want these games to not happen in the playoffs. You want them to get all the quirks out now. Iron the shirt. Get the shoes polished, right, for October. Get all the funky business out of the way here in June. So ultimately, this will be 2, maybe 3 ugly losses against the Dodgers, but this is when you want to lose. You don't want to lose in October. If you can take away anything from this, if you can take away lessons from this, if you can change the chemistry of the team, if you can, coming off of playing the Rockies in Anaheim, you want the Yankees to be reminded of what playing a good team is going to be like, because after this, they're playing some pretty good teams. I mean, the Yankees coming off a May where they finished the season against the Rockies, or finished the month against the Rangers, where they sweep the Rangers, take 2 out of 3 from the Rockies, sweep the Angels. I mean, these are teams that, the Angels were on fire, but they're teams that are not going to be, probably not going to be in playoff contention. And then you see them run into a roadblock with the Dodgers. Coming up, where you're facing the Guardians, kind of a surging Red Sox team, and the Royals, and then Red Sox, and then back at the stadium for the Angels and the Orioles for the rest of June. So listen, you gotta scrape one out tonight. Otherwise, it's gonna be an ugly off day, as you head back to the stadium. So with that, we'll come back and we'll talk about a little bit of the Masterclass by Michael Pollan on the Masterclass app when we come back after we take a quick break. See you then. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Again, this is the Powell Not Found podcast. You can find the podcast at youtube.com at Powell Not Found, or find the audio version of the show on any of the podcast apps like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you do find us there, go ahead and rate and review the show. That will help us out tremendously as we continue to grow the show here in the 66th episode. This weekend, I didn't get a chance to go to the movies, didn't get a chance to see anything new. I'm trying to push through Andor right now. It's getting very, very close to finally adjourning. I've got 3 episodes left, so no spoilers on that. Obviously, we all know what happens in Rogue One. So, but that show has been a very, very a push and pull on my investment in the Star Wars universe, because it feels like it can go from 0 to 60 in a very, very fast period of time, and then back to 0. There have been points within I guess there's 24 episodes in total. So there's been 21 episodes that I've seen. There's been moments where I've really felt that the show slowed down to a crawl. And then now it's picking back up, getting really exciting. There's great action moments. It's really starting to climb into what looks like it's going to be a great kind of finale for the 2 seasons of the show. Really getting me invested to the point where I'm like, well, obviously there should be a 3rd season, right? And I think they've said that it's going to be 2 and done. So that's disappointing there. But once I finish Andor, we'll give it a review. Hopefully it'll be next week when we can talk about that show in its total. But this week also, I was watching a masterclass by Michael Pollan called Intentional Eating. And, listen, eating is the thing that I've struggled with my entire life. I love to eat, right? I love food. There's nothing better than sitting down for those 3 meals a day, right? Obviously, there's fulfillment and things and accomplishments, but man, food is just consistent. It is the consistent friend that you have throughout your life because you need it. And there have been times where, I've been eating things and I've, felt sick or felt bloated or felt, didn't know what was going on. And so there have been times in my life where I've really cracked down and tried to watch what I ate, tried to change my diet, and tried to change my relationship with food. So it was kind of serendipitous because I was having one of those moments this last week as I came back from a restaurant, didn't feel the greatest. And so I had been given a class pass or a guest pass to go check out these master classes. And the master class, to be honest, my reputation with these things, they seem like they were very, very well done YouTube tutorials, right? Something that you can do. But when you're searching for health on health options or changing your psychology when it comes to your relationship with food, going to YouTube can be like a wild, wild west because there's so many different variety of opinions. You don't know which ones to trust. You don't know which ones are great. So this masterclass, I just ended up looking up, I think it was like healthy or health. And this one called Intentional Eating came up, which was by the author of The Omnivore's Dillema, Michael Pollan. He also has written books like This Is Your Brain on Food, This Is Your Brain on Plants, and The Food Rules. He has written a number of different health-related books, and he has one that he has a masterclass here that talks about intentional eating. And when I say this masterclass to me was influential and changed my psychology, I'm not exaggerating. That's not me being dramatic. there have been many, many, many different books that have covered the same territory, but because of the way that the Masterclass did it in these bite-sized chunks, I couldn't stop watching this, right? It was something that was very, 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 very impactful. He goes over a number of different things. He goes over basically your relationship with food. He goes over some food rules. He goes over how the making and the manufacturing of our food is changing not only our climate and the sustainability of things, but he's also talking about how it's changing your chemistry, right? And how each one of these choices that when you make a choice to eat something, you get 3, he calls it votes a day, that you want to make sure that you know where your food comes from and you know what you're actually putting in your mouth, because it can vary very differently over the last, over the last 50 years. The evolution of food has just changed so drastically. He makes points like over the last 50 years, food scientists have found a way to kind of make Americans in the Western diet take in 300 to 800 more calories a day than they used to in the past. And a lot of that has to do with the access of food and the availability of food, but just how they're making the food has changed. Immediately after watching this, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to put some of these suggestions that he has, because each masterclass comes with, here's what we're going to tell you for about 8, 9, 10 minutes, and then you have an assignment to do. And the assignment in these intentional eating ones, it always comes back to basically like, hey, you're going to eat more plants. You're going to eat things that are more organic. You're going to look at and be more of a detective in the supermarket. They're very, very light rules. One of them has to do with like gardening for microgreens. It changed me. It changed me because unlike other diet books that I have read in the past, or unlike health books, some of them would just go completely to the other extreme. When I was in New York, I was doing a program called the Whole 30, and the Whole 30 was like meat, fruits, vegetables. Very similar, but there was no room for mistakes in that diet. And I think when you have such a rigid structure around you, not only does your tendency to want to break it seem to go up, but when you do break it, even if it's accidental, I remember one time sipping, a coffee that had milk in it and going, oh my God, do I have to start the whole thing over just because I slipped up? I wasn't even intentional. It wasn't even intentional. I think those things are bound to fail because you feel like you're eating and you're making your choices in a cage where you're looking for the one pieces of scrap that will actually fit into this small little box. This isn't what this class is about. This class kind of brings your awareness up about how the food is made and what to look for and how to change, and also gives you few rules to make weight loss, as Michael Pollan puts it, a byproduct of what you're doing, because you didn't go on a diet. You changed your entire mindset and lifestyle. And when it comes down to it, all of these things, whenever you're changing your life or trying to attempt to change your life, you're always changing your lifestyle, and the byproduct and the result is because you've changed a habit of some sort, and you haven't not necessarily you're not engaging in like some long 30-day, 60-day contest like a diet is, in order to just get to the goal and then forget everything and then eat as much ice cream as possible. As good as that sounds. So what I wanted to introduce here was that we've been doing the podcast for 66, 67 weeks or whatever it is. But since January 1st, 2024. And so we've done 66 episodes. We've done a couple bonus episodes here and there. And we have kept it consistent, with the exception of maybe a week off here, 2 weeks off here. We've done 66 episodes. I've proven to myself that I want to be consistent. So what I wanted to do here was send out this weight challenge for myself, right? I stepped on the scale to weigh myself. I started tracking food just to kind of give myself a little bit of more of an awareness of what I was eating over the course of everything. So I'm writing down my food, journaling, and I want to keep this up. And the only way I can keep myself accountable is if I put it on tape and tell everybody, on whoever's watching this, that I'm going to do something. So I stepped on the scale and I looked at some numbers that I had never seen personally in my life when it came to those numbers. And I want to get down to something that I can confidently get on the scale and tell everybody. It was 245, which is bigger than I've ever been, and I don't want to be that weight anymore. So I'm telling everybody 245 is the starting goal. If by the end of the year, and this is the weight challenge, if by the end of the year I can get lower than that number, right? This is a very easy goal. I could accomplish it tomorrow, right? But I want to get at least like 10 pounds below that number, right? By the end of the thing. So we're going to try to, as we're doing the podcast consistently, we're going to try to eat consistently. And here's my mindset. Here's my thought. This is what I'm going to do. The one thing I took away from Michael Pollan's intentional eating masterclass was, one, know where your food comes from. So eat organic. So what I'm going to try to do is eat organic as much as possible. Not as much as possible. I'm going to try to eat less, but I'm going to try to find organic vegetables and find produce as much as possible. I'm going to spend the extra money. He does mention this, that eating organic, sometimes he calls it an elitist pursuit. But I'm going to try to do it because I think it's important that not only if the farmers, if the people who are growing this produce are still regulated to certain rules to make it organic or make it pasteurized or whatever, or pasture raised or whatever, if they're still needing to put some stipulation, one, you're going to probably taste better food, right? It's going to make things like vegetables, which are not the most desirable culturally, especially in the West here. But if there's any way to make them taste better, then you're going to buy organic. So I'm going to do it, right? The other thing I'm going to do is that I kind of looked at this problem from a math perspective and said, he calls it 3 votes a day. Well, you only have 30 days in a month, right? So if I can home cook most of these meals in a month, which is 90 opportunities to eat if you don't count all the snacking and all the stuff in between. If I can at least get close to an A average, which is 81 out of 90 meals, then I think I should be able to see that byproduct that Michael Pollan is talking about. I've also decided to cook more, freeze more. One of the things that I've taken from my mom, because she's a great cook and she's also a very, very healthy eater, freezing is key, right? Like you can freeze anything, right? You can freeze food, you can freeze rice, you can freeze plants, you can freeze meat, right? It's freezing is key, because not only will that kind of induce a prepping mentality for lunches, but it will never make for an opportunity. If I'm prepping consistently, it will never make for an opportunity that I will not have something to bring for lunch. I work at a job right now that I go in, 8-9 hours a day, and I sit, I edit, I do all the things that I need to do, but there's not a lot of activity. When I was living in New York, by contrast, there was an ample amount of walking I was doing. It made losing weight, especially when I was eating healthy, almost a breeze, because you were coming back home after you walked to the train, you walked from the train to work, you walked from work to the train, you maybe did some things in between, in terms of going to the bank or whatever, doing deposits or whatever you were doing. Then you would walk back home. You would end up with like 30,000 steps. You had your workout in, and humans are meant to do something. And every single time I've tried to work off weight, like exercise off weight, it doesn't work. It always either comes back. I mean, I could train forever. I could do a Michael Phelps thing, but you know what? If I'm doing a Michael Phelps regimen and coming out of the pool and eating ice cream, guess what's not going to happen? I'm not going to lose weight, and plus I'm not going to be Michael Phelps. They might have to, butter me to get me out of the pool, right? Because of what I'm eating. So it really all comes down to diet. So what I'm going to try to do is try to get to that A average again. That's 81 out of 90 meals. Also, that allows leeway for things that are going to be in your life. There are going to be moments where you're going to be at a birthday party, you're going to be at a social event, you're going to be at a work event where someone's going to hand you a beer that you can't say no to, right? It allows for that kind of leeway, because if you're getting to that A average, then you're going to see the result, right? That you're doing the best you can. So I don't know if any of this is going to work, but this is what we're going to try. So I'm going to do that. That's going to be my weight challenge for the end of the podcast here. We'll track it on a week to week basis to see if we're making any progress. And if you do have any tips about trying to lose weight or trying to change your mindset, because I think that's the most important part about, and this is the point of the Michael Pollan Intentional Eating Masterclass that I watched. It really changed my mindset to food, because I'm at a point again where some food is getting me sick to my stomach. I don't know what's going on. So the only way to get back to that baseline and to figure out what's going on is really to change the diet and try to find those commonalities, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do that, and we're going to try to get a little bit more healthy. So hopefully we'll be able to see a change by the end of the podcast. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the show. The Yankees, again, are playing at 7 o'clock at Dodger Stadium. Let's cross our fingers and hope that the Yankees do a little bit better. And next week, we will come back with some more reviews, more TV, more baseball, the things that we want to talk about here on the Powell Not Found podcast. Thank you guys for all subscribing. You can find us at youtube.com/PowellNotFound. And you guys have a good week. Have a great week. Have a good June. Bye-bye.
And in the morning she lays with her memories departed of heavy college weeks, bookended with long trips to Busch Gardens.